Welcome to the 2024 Volleyball Rules Clinic. My name is Laura Parker, and I am one of the assistant directors for the Virginia High School League. Myself and Robert Kyle, the rules interpreter, will be presenting this today. Please always feel free to call or email either one of us. The purpose of the webinar is reviewing the rules changes as well as points of emphasis from the NFHS, as well as the policies and additional information from the Virginia High School League. Each VHSL member school must meet the clinic requirements. The deadline is August 23rd, and after that deadline, there is a $50 fine assessed to the school. I recommend all coaches take the clinic, not just the head coach. Please know you must watch in full to get the credit. All officials in all sports must register using Whistle, which is accessible on the officials page on the Virginia High School League website. All officials also must complete the rules test and clinic. There is no extra video, just the rules clinic and test. All officials must take and pass the NFHS volleyball rules exam each year. A level 3 official is a 85% or above. This will make you eligible for regular season varsity. A level 2, registered and in good standing, the score on the exam would be a 75 to 84%, and that will get you eligible for regular season varsity and sub-varsity, but not postseason games. 70 to 74% is a level 1 official. This will only get you eligible for sub-varsity games, and below that would be an unapproved official. Rule books were mailed to each school that sponsors the sport. Ask your AD if you have not received. They were also distributed to associations as well. I know we have added quite a few boys teams. If you did not get 2 rule books in those schools that have both a boys and a girls team, please reach out to the office. Other places to find additional information is the NFHS website, as well as the Virginia High School League's website, our handbook, officials handbook, and points of emphasis. Other things on our site, and this would be located on the volleyball page: EAP, Emergency Action Plan templates, libero tracking, score sheets, also the state tournament format and brackets. I will tell you the boys tournament format is not available yet. We are working on combining the 5-6 in different regions due to the addition of 25 teams in Fairfax. Contest limitations. Make sure if you are in a tournament that you do not go over your set amount of 15 sets. Otherwise, the tournament limits have not changed. So 20 dual matches or 18 plus an invitational, or 16 duels plus 2 invitationals. Also, a reminder, make sure during your scrimmage you're not going over your allotted amount there either, which is 8. A reminder, 14 minimum practice days. This does not include, so if you had a morning practice and afternoon practice, that does not count as two, it just counts as 1. And your start date is August 5th, and you can see the first contest and the region end date. Make sure that all tournaments that you have entered are sanctioned. You can find that list on our website. And remember, you may not go over your allotted amount of sets. This does not include postseason events. State championships, state quarterfinals are on the 16th, semifinals on the 19th, and then Saturday the 23rd, class 1 through 3 will be at Salem, and class 4 through 6, both boys and girls, will be at VCU again. Special rules by state adoption. Remember that you must use a Wilson K1. This must be used postseason play. Make sure you have ordered. Last year I did try to give every region at least 3 to pass on to whoever was going to be in the state tournament. Again, make sure that whoever is running your region tournament, those ADs would have received 3 balls for the state quarterfinals and semifinals. Districts, remember, you're allowed to change. You can go 2 out of 3 matches in regular season if your district has approved that. Also, remember that 4 officials are required for region and state playoff games, so you must have line judges. And then remember the rules if you use volunteers for this. Game management, make sure everything is set up an hour prior. This was a topic in our summer meeting. Make sure that if you have a tight gym, that your bottom row of bleachers are clear. This is a safety issue. And that warm up should be no one on sides outside of the playing area hitting a ball unless there is a clear separation. So use another gym or a hallway if that's not possible. Safety, remember safety should be the number one priority, making sure everyone is aware of inherent risk, make sure that you teach the safety skills, and making sure that we are properly equipped during both games and practices. A lot of times in practice, we might not set up the padding or pad the hooks. This is sort of when we get slack, so please make sure you're doing that at all times. Heat, hydration, and concussion. Obviously, though volleyball is an indoor sport, a lot of times ACs are not working or off. So please make sure that you know the signs and symptoms of heat illness and teach about proper hydration to your athletes. Sudden cardiac arrest. Again, so important to be prepared. Every 3 days, a young athlete dies of sudden cardiac arrest. Know where the AED is located. Have your emergency action plan and practice this plan. Again, there are templates on our website. Again, emergency action plan should be specific to your practice or competition venue if they're different, and reflect the following important considerations related to managing emergency situations. Make sure you are working with your athletic director and your trainer to identify that core emergency response team. Sportsmanship. Again, after a record-breaking spring of both athlete and coach ejections, I want to remind you that both the NFHS and Virginia High School League continue the effort to make sportsmanship better. Remember to collaborate, the officials' role, collaborate with that game administration, know who is in charge that night, focus on the action of the players, coaches, and sideline, making sure that the stands are the athletic director or the administrator's responsibility, and just don't ever engage with those. Make sure you stop the match if so be it, and call for the administration. Coaches, again, this sportsmanship, I think it takes all stakeholders, so make sure you are the role model. If you're complaining, then obviously the players and the fans follow suit. Sportsmanship starts at the top. Practice, make sure your expectations are the same in the game. Obviously, if you are allowing language in practice, it is going to be allowed in a game. So set your high standards and expect the standards to be followed. Common ejections, we look at these, obviously fighting, language tends to be volleyball. We don't tend to have many fights, but language is typically the one that gets us. Taunting, derogatory comments, language, and use of racial slurs. So reminder, last year was our new sportsmanship ejection policy. Reminder that 30% of your total contest, right, for fighting, 20% if profanity directed at a game official, and then anybody that leaves the bench is also 20%. We also did have some different situations for coaches last year. Anybody that was ejected for unsportsmanlike conduct obviously cannot be physically present or communicate in any way with the team. The decision to eject is big because of those situations. Any incident that to sportsmanship is reported to the league, and making sure that you understand all of that can be appealed. And again, any questions regarding sportsmanship, just please reach out to myself. All right, I'm gonna let Robert take it over.
Awesome. Hey, welcome everybody. I especially want to thank welcome all the new coaches that are here, and especially all, what you say, there's 40 something new schools that added boys in the Northern Virginia area. I want to welcome you. I think it's great for the state, and hopefully great for the state tournament, because maybe we'll separate 5 and 6 again. That was just a little wish on my part. Federation or NFHS has gone into a partnership with Sports Imports for equipment. So if you need any new equipment, that'd be a good source. You can tell them that you are an NFHS member school, maybe get a discount. Couple quick things about the NFHS is, we've got almost, I think, all 50, I think actually I guess technically 51 when you add the DC area in as a separate entity participating in 19,500 high schools. So it is the number one thing for high school sports. You can see the list of all of the rules committee members here. You can also find that in the rule book, of course, as well. Here is the committee for everyone that represents different parts of the country. So it's a point of contact in case you want to reach out to them. Again, that's all in the rule book. Hopefully you guys will be getting the rule book soon once your association starts their clinics. You also have as a member, full member school, you'll have access to NFHS All Access, either their website or their mobile app. Please use this it's easily to search for rules, keywords, and everything. And so that once, I would say within the next 3 weeks after you register and pass the test and get fully certified, you'll get access to the new rule book. Again, access through a website or the mobile app. All right, let's talk about the 4 rule changes that the committee decided on and approved for this year. Uniform. If there is a damaged uniform due to blood, a rip, a tear, or something, and you need to change the roster number for that individual so they can continue to play, there is now no longer a penalty for that. Each team should have what we call a blood jersey to have that player change into. We all know that everybody's different sizes. What you can do is take a non-playing member's number that's not going to be entering the game, and you can change that to the player that will be entering the game and make that roster number change on the roster without penalty now. Something that we've been doing in Virginia for a long time, but I know there's been some areas that haven't allowed it, is we are finally, Federation has decided to allow all team members, not just the Magnificent Seven who start the match, but all team members to line up on the end line and do the pregame handshake. So I think that's great. It encourages participation for everybody, not just the starting 6 and 7. Line judge responsibility. This is one that kind of surprised me, but if as a state we are not switching sides, I know I've already gotten a couple questions about that. We are still not going back to switching sides, so you are staying on the same side. The line judges, if you are using line judges, the line judges will switch sides in between each set. That to allow fair play, I guess, is the reasoning behind it. Teams will remain on the same benches, but line judges will switch sides. Laura and I will talk about that if we're going to do that in the state tournaments and stuff when we have certified officials as line judges. But for now, if you're using volunteer line judges, they need to switch sides after each set. Something that's been, I think, finally caught up to, and other rule sets have allowed this, is if your libero gets injured and they obviously have to come out of the match and the person that they libero replaced has to come in, the teams are now allowed to substitute that individual with another player on the bench that is not illegal, let me phrase that, illegal substitution to a player that has not been in the game or in a different position. They can now substitute for that, usually a middle, to come in on the back row before any redesignation of the libero to take place. So the original player must come back in for the libero first, and then that player may be substituted. Years past, and that has not been allowed, and a player must have to, sit out a rally before they, can substitute, but now you can substitute right away. And that's only for an injury situation. All right, those are all the rule changes for this year. So we're going to go into a couple editorial changes in the rule book. Have to, say sit out around. All right, those are all the rule changes for this year. So we're gonna go into a couple editorial changes in the rule book. There's a whole section about suggested pre-match protocols. There's no set way to do it. We recommend that being that for the state tournament, we do at 20 minutes, we call captains, and then there's an 8 minutes of shared, 6 minutes for the serving team, 6 minutes for the receiving team. We recommend that that's the protocol you use so that everything just kind of stays the same. And also that way, people traveling from different areas, they keep the same protocol. But you can go ahead and see the minimum requirements there in that chart, or you can reference the rule book. To see what the minimum requirements are. They changed it from overhead to overhand. Usually this is involved with the libero handset inside the 10-foot attack zone. It's just been changed from overhead to overhand. Just kind of keeps it in line with all the other rule books. The rule itself has not changed at all for the libero setting the ball inside the attack zone. Libero tracking has changed a little bit. This again keeps it in line with all the other rule sets. No longer do you cross out the libero or the number that the libero is going in for. You simply, as you can see on this screen, if the libero went in for number 6, you just put the L, 6 returns, libero returns, and then now 6, once they return again, number 2 substituted for number 6, and then you'd cross out the 6 at that point. It's kind of how we've been teaching it for years, but now the rule actually is telling you and libero trackers how to do it. A couple other editorial changes. You'll see those at the front of the rule book. So I recommend you go through each of those yourself and just to see kind of what is changed. There's also been some other ones that have been added. If you go to the NFHS website, there's some other places where some other editorial changes have been discovered. Couple other changes. This is something that we've been doing in Virginia for, I think, for a long time, at least certain areas of Virginia. During the pre-match protocols, the R1 will walk across to on the A side to their referee stand. And if they have a line judge, the LJ1, of course, will join them. And that's where we stand for announcements, national anthem, or any other table introductions that they might have. The R2 will stand next to their respective pole, right at the sideline. And that's where everybody will stand during introductions. And then as soon as the introductions are done, the R1 would whistle the teams onto the court to shake hands. So something we've been doing, I think, for a while. I know the book used to have everybody at the scores table, but now we're changing the R1s across the stand or at their stand during the announcements. Couple points of emphasis for this year. I know ball handling is one of those fun subjects that people just love talking about. And, you can talk to 10 different officials and they might have, 6 different ideas about how to call things. I know for those of us that are pay attention to or officiate the college game, there's the talk of eliminating doubles. That's not what the rule on the college side is doing. That's, of course, not what we're doing in high schools as well. However, federation and high school sports are kind of adapting the let them play a little bit more often than you might have. Basically, what the rule is you have to see discernible contact between one hand to the other for it to be called, a double, typically on the second ball that's might be set in their teammates. What it's doing is it's allowing a little bit more play. Nobody wants to hear an official blow the whistle. And I know coaches, you are the same way. Even though you guys are begging for doubles all the time, you really don't want us to necessarily be calling it. Basically, if a player's in a good position and there is no discernible double contact, officials, we need to let this go. And on the same time, coaches, you need to stop asking for these doubles to be called, because much like what Laura said earlier, is once you start begging for doubles, the players start begging for doubles, and then you have the fans start begging for doubles. And then that's when we have to get host management involved, and nobody wants us to have to delay the game because of that. So we are allowing more play to continue, and that's where the rule sets are. Was there really an advantage to somebody possibly mishitting the ball? Then that's why we want things to continue. Now, it's still, if the multiple contact or possible multiple contact happens and the ball is going over the net, we're still instructed officials to be calling that. But we should be calling less doubles than we are. It's not a got you moment. It's not a I saw that. We have to see discernible multiple contact. Mishandled balls should still be called, and blatant faults should obviously still be called, even if it kind of goes towards a teammate. But what the rule and ball handling directive, more like maybe not a rule, but what the ball handling directive is, let that play continue. If you have to really go, was that or was that not, then officials, we should be letting that go. And coaches, as always, don't look at the spin of the ball. This play pick has a bump set as being depicted, and 9 times out of 10, those are coming spinning like crazy. You could do that with your hands as well. So just officials be maybe a little bit more lenient. Only call it if you see discernible multiple contact. Prolonged contact should still be called. There's no really allowance for that. The catch and throw philosophy, prolonged contact, the ball must not be allowed to come to rest, regardless of how you word it. They're all the same. Just because it's overhand contact or done with an open hand doesn't automatically make it prolonged contact. I see it all the time. The underhand pop up near the bottom of the net comes out super fast, super clean, and we're still hearing complaints that that's a multiple. I mean, that's a prolonged contact. It's not. They must see it come to rest. You must see it catch it. I realize it's different verbiage for different rule sets, but it's basically it must come to rest. And that's, as always, officials, if you see it come to rest, you need to go ahead and use your whistle and end the play. Another big topic over the past few years is player tips and setter dumps. Again, if you see the ball come to rest in the hand, change direction while they're doing it, then that needs to be called. And yes, it's all about angles. Sometimes you have a coach might have a better angle at it, but if the official doesn't see it or call it, then that's that they felt that there was no prolonged contact for that. This still follows under the catch and throw philosophy. I know a lot of people teach quadrants, if it came from this quadrant to that quadrant. That's not what the rule says. And there could be plenty of power dumps that moves quadrant to quadrant that's are legal. So just officials, make sure you're paying super attention to that, especially those now that are adding the boys game to it. You're going to see more of those. So your eyes need to be sped up and get ready to see those possible power tips and setter dumps, whether they are legal or not. A couple of scoring best practices. Officials, make sure you have words with your scores table, especially if they are not, certified officials or people that you haven't seen before. Confirm whatever score system they're using. If they're using, the modified collegiate or the book, make sure they understand how to do it and that you are, available to help instruct them. Make sure the Libro tracker is there, they should be there 20 minutes prior to match time. In other words, as you're doing the captain's meeting, they should be there so that you can start the instruction process at that point. Help them make sure they're putting in the lineups correctly. The R2 should be instructing them. Ensure that that they are done with substitutions before the R2 gives the court back. Especially again, if you have lesser experienced table crew or people that you haven't worked with in the past. Coaches, make sure that your administration, if they are not hiring the association that provides the officials for the scores and or Libero trackers, make sure that your administration has that. I can't tell you the number of years I've gone to the first or second match of the season and the new AD didn't know that they had to supply a scorekeeper. So please make sure that your administration knows if they are supplying it or if the association is, and that they are actually requesting those scores. Anytime there's a spectator issue, the only thing I don't like about this player pick is the R1 should be coming off the stand to talk to the administrator, not just pointing from the stand, because everybody, it's kind of a little too obvious at that point. Not that we don't want it to be obvious, but it's a bad picture for the R1 to be pointing at somebody from the stand. So climb off the stand and then talk with the host management. That's for any abusive fans. Maybe a mascot has to move or something like that. Anything that needs to be, maybe there's a band playing or something. Come off the stand, talk to the host management, or have the R2 handle it. But both officials will collaborate so they know exactly what's going to need to be addressed by the host management. All right, quick update on the NFHS authenticating mark update. I know I can use big words. There is a new logo for NFHS. You can see that there on the bottom left. You can get all into specifics. Obviously, either logo is legal still. They're just transitioning to a new logo. So even if they still have the old one, no big deal. Those balls are legal. You can see them on different placements of different, on different balls. Just make sure it has one of the two logos on it. I know we've already gotten a lot of questions about the potential use of I just call it the dimpled ball. That has not been approved yet by the NFHS, but they are listening, which is something that they had not done before in the past. We are still working on possibly, if not this year, next year, being a test state if they don't pass the rule. So be aware that we are both fighting for it, and there are, a half a dozen other states that are fighting for it as well. So just be on the lookout. It hopefully will change. Boys coaches, if you would do me the privilege or honor or whatever of emailing me why you want to go to the dimpled ball and the advantages and disadvantages of going or not going to it, I could compile that and send that off through Laura to the NFHS, and that will help the cause to get this rule passed in the future years and hopefully next year. Couple things for officials on education. There are some great training videos on nfhslearn.com. There are two brand new ones on line judge training and also the use of electronic headsets. If you do not do, say, a lot of college that uses headsets, it is a great thing to watch to kind of get the best practices of using the headsets, because it's different having them and not having them. I think is a great tool. It eliminates some confusion on a lot of different things. So please, if you do a lot of headset use, or even if you do and you want to just get a refresher, then please go to the nfhslearn.com and go to the headset training video and watch it. It'll be really good to help give you a refresh on the use of headsets. As I just mentioned, everything's available all in one place for a lot of different training tools. There's been 200 updates within the last 12 months, within the last year. There's places there to practice the exam. So please go there and learn how to do it. I'm going to turn it back over to Laura so she can finish up with the rest of it.
All right, just to go over the NFHS Learning Center. This is where 90 plus courses, 60 of them free. Obviously, this is where our fundamentals of coaching, concussion sports, and the other required classes also are found. I know also they just released a new one for statistics and volleyball that might be really good if you have athletes or parents taking your stats. Again, you see the number one is a concussion in sports. And then the NFHS network. So right now, hopefully by 2025, every high school event in America will be streamed. That's the goal, 27 different sports and activities. And, you know, every year, over 1 million events for the past year were streamed. So we're getting there. And again, thank you for joining us. And as far as anything, as far as VHSL questions, reach out to me. Robert is the volleyball guru, not me. So if you have a interp question, please email him. I always like to learn, so you can CC me on it. It's important that I know as well, just in case he's not in contact. But he is the person to get in contact for rules and VHSL stuff. Reach out to me. So thank you again, and I appreciate your time, and good luck this season to everyone.
Yep. Thank you all.